Good morning, and welcome to the Keystone Western Podcast. My name is Pedro, your host and producer. This is the show where we talk about trucking and the transportation industry through stories, challenges, and innovations. Each week, we chat with industry veterans, rising professionals, and experts on topics from career advice to mental health and fitness. Whether you are a driver curious about trucking or just looking for inspiring stories, we got you covered. Let's get started. Joining me today is Mr. Peter, Mr. AKA Coffee genius, coffee guru here at Keystone Western. He makes like the strongest coffee here at Keystone, so he makes it every day too. But at the same time, he works in our safety and compliance department as well as workers' compensation. So welcome, Peter. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Oh yeah?
Good to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being on. You took time out of your busy day and schedule to just join me for this little chat.
Which is kind of funny. You initially said, so how busy are you? And it's kind of a bad way to lead with a question. How can I help?
You were thinking maybe just write up something, or I don't know, print something, create a document. Not, we're doing a podcast. So how did you get started in the trucking industry?
I got started in the trucking industry here, actually. Max's manager, at the time the director of driver services, I think was his title. He moved on, Max moved up, and that's how I started.
All right.
Here.
Okay. So I was going to ask, what brought you to Keystone Western?
A cavalcade of luck. I was looking for something. I knew more or less what I wanted. And at the time, this place is just down the highway for me. Perfect. And it was only after coming here and doing it that I realized that, okay, this is something I can actually do. And this is, something I can say something I want to do.
Okay. Nice. What are some challenges that you faced or that you have had to overcome in your role? One
challenge that I face every day, and it's the biggest one in compliance, is getting people to comply. It's like people who don't necessarily understand why they have to do this and needing to, in a way, say, too bad, do it, but it's people who don't understand. It's not that they don't want to. So there's just every day there's things that, that's CTPAT? Yes, it is. Like, that's compliance? Yes, it is. And people just don't necessarily understand the breadth of compliance and what it means.
Okay, so let's dive into that a little bit. Trucking safety and compliance are constantly evolving too, right? What trends and challenges do you see in violations and compliance?
For one that is compliance and safety, so law is not. It's definitely a longer-term trend. The drivers are having trouble sometimes with pre-trip inspections.
Okay.
There are some drivers who do a very good job, and that's that. They know what they're doing, they do it. And there's other people. It's not necessarily that they don't know what they're doing, but when you're getting paid to drive, you're not getting paid to do your pre-trip, so they want to just get on the road, go. And shortcuts lead to things getting missed all the time. And that's the biggest challenge in any company, is getting the drivers to understand, like I just spoke about, that you need to do your pre-trips. It's your job and mine depends on it.
Yeah. So speaking of it that way, like, what are some trends? Like, why would you say it's super important? I know we discussed it prior to the recording a little bit. Why?
Violations, because first of all, there's safety. Everyone wants to be safe. You don't have to tell people you need to be safe. You understand that.
Yeah.
But for the compliance side of that, if you're going to get pulled over down the road, if you're someone who took a shortcut because you want to get driving, and then you get out of service because your sock adjusters were way out, that's going to delay you a whole lot more than if you just checked in the first place and adjusted what you need to adjust or called who you need to call. Plus, on top of that, it hurts our carrier profile. It's like demerits on your driver's license, but for a company, you can only take so many before bad things will start to happen. So it's a matter of maintaining the company carrier profile to keep the place running, as well as keep the trucks on the road.
Yeah. Okay, so somebody who might not understand carrier profile, could you briefly explain what that means and why it is important?
Yeah, like I said, it's sort of like demerits on your license. If you get a moving violation, you get points on the carrier profile as a company. If you get an inspection and it was a fail or is not a service, depending on what happened, you get a certain amount of points on the carrier profile. Now, there's a threshold that you have to stay below a certain limit, and it's different for Canada and the U.S. But if you're below the limit, you're fine. If you get above, now suddenly your carrier profile will be downgraded. You could that could affect you a couple ways. First of all, any customers who are going to be looking at a carrier's safety before deciding to go with them, they're going to see, oh, this person is a much less safe company than that one. And then for them, it's a no-brainer. And so you can lose business as well. It can get to the point where there can just outright be arbitration. There's a long gap between those two, but in that direction, eventually that's how it's going to go. It's going to go to arbitration, and then bad things can happen. So it's not a matter of trying to scare people. It's just if you're passing an inspection, that's good, and that balances that. So it's a matter of how many good inspections can you get versus how many bad. And it's always percentages. So the better you do, the easier it is to keep the company going, basically.
Okay, all right. So, if me as a driver, I want to make money, I should care about the company profile, because if the company doesn't make money, I don't make money.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're pulled over on the road somewhere because you need to replace the brake line before you keep going, first of all, you're not driving. Second of all, the person who's coming to repair it knows that you don't have a choice, and you're going to be paying a whole lot more versus if you took it in somewhere. So it's costing you time and direct and indirect money.
Okay. Speaking of inspections, they just recently announced their 2025 inspection week. Do you know what the dates are?
It is in May, the May 3rd to 6th, I believe.
Okay.
And other than the usual level 1 inspections that's going to happen, there's going to be extra emphasis on hours of service, which means they're going to be inspecting your logs with a fine-tooth comb, way more than usual.
But you would think with e-log, you don't have to worry about. What should a driver do to be prepared for an inspection like that?
Make sure that your logs are good. Make sure that you know everything you need to know. And if that means asking, ask. There's no such thing as a ridiculous question.
Right.
Even if you feel that you should know this, it's a whole lot better to ask versus, oops, I should have known this. I got dinged for it. So it's always better to ask whether you think it's an easy question or not.
Okay. What are the most common violations you see or you would see when, let's say, people get inspected on e-log?
The one big one is misunderstanding of personal conveyance. The simple answer is you can not use personal conveyance for anything that causes commercial gain. So, for example, if you're going to the groceries, that's fine. You're not helping the company. If you're done your day and, I need to make a stop here in the morning, I'm just going to go on personal conveyance on my personal time. Well, no, because if that's where you're going, it's commercial gain. So you cannot do that. There is differences in Canada and the U.S. Such as in In the U.S., it's a lot less restrictions, but you're more likely to have to prove it. Like, for example, I got groceries. Okay, where'd you go? Walmart. Okay, show me your Walmart receipt. Versus in Canada, you need to be bobtailing, and there's a restriction on distance as well. So the general rule of thumb, 45 minutes is about all you can do, depending on your speed, obviously.
Okay, so but like I'm wondering, let's say in the U.S., I'm allowed to do it with a loaded trailer, based on my understanding, right? Like
Yes.
let's say if I go from, let's say it's a truck stop and it's a Walmart, then okay, I want to leave in the morning, but I'm gonna go buy groceries. You know, after I take a shower at the trucks or whatever, I'm gonna go over to Walmart to buy some groceries. But now, say once I'm in Canada, would Canada look at it as a violation, even though it happened in the U.S.?
In that's the case, you're doing it under their jurisdiction.
Okay. So that doesn't apply, or what?
Yeah, that wouldn't apply. Like in both jurisdictions, you could, be asked to prove it. Like I said, but that's a lot more common in the U.S., especially since it's a lot more loosey-goosey for what you can do. There's no, you can only go 75 kilometers. You have to be unloaded. You have to be this. You have to be that. That doesn't exist. So there's a lot more of an understanding that you need to be able to show it.
Okay. So
that is definitely the biggest one.
Okay.
The other one is sometimes people just confusing rules between Canada and the U.S. Like for example, in Canada, you don't need to be in sleeper berth for as long as the U.S.
Right.
So you get your minimum amount of sleep in Canada, go to the border, welcome to the United States, you're now in violation. You didn't get your 10 hours.
Yeah. But those things the e-log device shows you, right? Like it tells you when you're in violation, right?
Yes, it shows you in your current jurisdiction, though.
Yeah.
So if it's a matter of confusion of one jurisdiction over the other, or going north, like to Alaska, then there's even different rules. So you're fine here, but wait a minute, I thought this was the rule. No, that's the rule there.
Okay.
Over here, it's different. So yes, sometimes it'll show you, it's like, this is how much time you have left, or you were in violation, you're not in violation. But also sometimes it's, you've crossed, and now you're in violation. So it tells you real time. It's not going to predict for you if what you're doing is going to cause you trouble in the future.
Okay. So in that case, what you're saying is familiarize or plan. I mean, obviously plan your trip, right? Like drivers should always plan their trip, and then okay, this is a jurisdiction I plan to travel to. So can I afford to this night only have 8 hours off because tomorrow I want to cross to the U.S.? The answer to that is no. I cannot afford. So I should know that, even though the device will tell me, but they'll only tell me by once I get to the border, and now you're out of hours. Now you need to sleep, and now you need to call the dispatcher. Hey, I'm going to be an entire day late because I took 2 hours off my sleeping time the previous day.
Whereas, like I said earlier, the alternative was not, hi dispatch, I'm going to be late. It's, hi dispatch, can I do this? Okay, thank you. So asking questions whenever you don't know. There's no point failing at something when you had the tools at your disposal, right? You can work off the mistakes of someone else, work off the knowledge of someone else. Yeah,
lean on the team that's available to you.
Exactly.
Right? Just a couple of weeks ago, I had Chris Mason on, and he talked about what he made an effort to familiarize himself with e-log rules, because he came into the trucking industry. A lot of dispatchers are drivers previously and whatnot. They know that some of the hours of service, but he said, I made it a purpose of understanding hours of service. So like you said, like there's the team to lean on, right? Like reach out to the team. Hey, I'm confused here, but even nowadays too, like Google FMCSA, the hours of service are clearly printed. I mean, sometimes it might be a bit confusing because a lot of wordage, but you can find summarized version.
Exactly. And when I had just started, I was here maybe 2 months. Max and Svetlana both were gone because they're doing something relating to a trade show, and I was alone. And someone asked, "Oh, how do I do this on my satellite?" So, let me double check and get back to you. And then I had no idea what the answer was.
Okay.
So www.youtube.com, and you can bet I was finding tutorials, and I figured out how to do it from searching online. And then I called them, okay, here's how you do it. And, there's nothing wrong with how you find information. It's about knowing where to find what you need to know, more than it is about knowing everything.
Yeah. And YouTube, well, and I was trying to explain something to a driver the other day too about hours of service was on the weekend. I'm like, it's hard to explain really. And I'm like, okay, there has to be a YouTube video for it. I Googled it, found a YouTube video. There was some information on the video that was inaccurate, but in summary, the video was helpful, right? Like the video would show you how to solve your problem. So not saying that, driver should solely rely on YouTube, because they, e-log systems get updated.
Yeah.
And, some things change. Speaking of,
good to know
e-log
where your resources are.
Yeah. How excited are you about us getting new e-log systems?
Oh my God, you have no idea. It is. Lots of these e-log systems I've had a little bit of a run through prior.
Okay.
So I know a little bit how they work.
Like this new one?
That was one of 3 that I saw, Samsara. And it is, sure, it's different, and there will always be a learning curve when you're learning something different.
Yeah.
But oh my God, it is so much more user-friendly. It's like giving someone a car with automatic transmission who's only ever driven standard, but I don't know how to use that. It doesn't have a clutch. It's like, yes, it's different. You'll figure it out, and it will be easier.
Yeah.
There's so many less steps, and there's so many more obvious assumptions that it makes. It's going to be
very AI integrated, or what?
Yes, it is definitely AI integrated. Like, for example, it uses an app. You can a tablet mounted on the dash, could be the phone in your pocket, whatever. And let's say you use it on your phone, and it knows you're at home 70 kilometers that way, and then the truck moves 100 feet on the property of a shop. Is going to make a wild assumption that it was probably a mechanic driving it and not you 70 kilometers away. And then when you log in, it's not going to be yelling at you the next day.
So, but generally speaking, most likely our trucks will have tablets, right?
I'm not sure 100%. From what I've heard, they're more than likely going to have tablets, and then if you want to download the app on your phone, it's the exact same software.
You could use both, and like
just
two devices at the same time?
Yeah, same app. Well, not at the same time, but log into one or the other.
Yeah. Well, for example, if I have a tablet in my truck, I go home and I'm like, did I log out? Or did I, whatever, did I go off duty or whatever I needed to do? Is that...
Yep, I'm good.
So you can do that.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Pull up the app and I'm like, okay. So that'll be very nice, right? Like, so... press another button and the truck comes to you, picks you up. Just kidding.
We're a little bit off from that.
We might get there. Okay, so that's a cool topic. E-log system. Where did I want to go with that? Now my brain is flatliner. That's okay. CTPAT. Let's dive into that. Maybe the other one comes like CTPAT.
That's a deep swimming pool to dive into.
Deep swimming pool. Just briefly, like why CTPAT is important. Maybe we should emphasize, just because our Canada-US relation is right now, CTPAT has become a higher...
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, what CTPAT is it's effectively it's counterterrorism. You learn off everyone else in CTPAT. This is how best to avoid a smuggler. This is how best to avoid a stowaway. This is how best to avoid carjacking. It's everyone learning off everyone else and determining best practices.
Okay.
Now there is it's not just a matter of, listening to what other people have found effective and that's it. It is a voluntary program, but if you want to be part of it, then there's a very, very big list of things that you need to do. For example, the last renewal, it's probably a good 500 documents that have to be uploaded for, we do this, we do that. There is this many light bulbs in the parking lot. The walls have this type of material in them, and everything from that to this is how often you do drug testing, this is how we do our background checks, and everything in between. And quite simply, if you don't do it, it's not just a matter of, you could be more likely to be a victim of something kind of called terrorist.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that simple. But if you want to be CTPAT, in most cases, without getting into too much depth, your carrier needs to be CTPAT as well. So, big company X, CTPAT, if you're not CTPAT, they're not going with you, plain and simple.
Okay.
So it's a matter of, if you want to keep your business, you better follow the rules.
Yeah.
So quite simply, that's what it comes down to. But it's not just a matter of doing it for your bottom end. It's good practices. Like, you should have security cameras. They should be this quality. You should have fire extinguishers. You should perform background checks on employees. It's things like that. That doesn't benefit you either way, even though there is definitely a workload attached to it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you mentioned earlier that, and it seems almost CTPAT related, more smuggling, like narcotics, that we've seen a higher level of random inspections into loads, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially level 4 inspections, which, what that is, level 1, 2, and 3 are the most common. For level 4, before we might have seen like one a year from all of North America. In 2025, I believe we've had 16 from Ontario alone.
And it's only March.
Exactly. So there's definitely something going on, and some people I've spoken to have suspicious that, hey, maybe it's related to the increased border security, and maybe officially it's load security. I don't know how load security plays into doing a level 4 for load security on an empty trailer, but either way, it's good to know that, like anywhere else, you should make sure, you dot your T's and cross your I's.
Yeah.
Or the opposite.
Yeah.
Dot your I's and cross your T's.
Yeah. Like, for example, in training, we teach our drivers, we tell our drivers to, basically we teach them to make CTPAT part of your daily routine when you're fueling, when you're doing your pre-trip inspection. You're already checking all the components. At the same time, you have a little flashlight to just shine into the dark spaces. Just that way, you're integrating it into part of your pre-trip inspection, and now you're very familiar with your equipment, right? You don't get to the border or an inspection where you're like, okay, might there be something that get me in trouble? But because I know as a driver, if I did it properly, everything is checked. So maybe that's just something that might be a good note to add to that, right?
Yeah. Some stuff is habit. Some stuff is best practice.
Yeah.
Like for example, theoretically, if you pull up to a border, you don't have your trailer sealed, and then that's likely going to result in getting an email, please explain why your driver did not have a seal, and then your CTPAT status could very well depend on your answer. So, and information is often shared. Like if there's
publicly?
Like for example, if there's a theft,
Oh, okay.
Most police jurisdictions are going to be sharing information with CTPAT, which is tied heavily to Department of Homeland Security. That's their pet project. So you better bet that if that CTPAT knows about it, even if you don't think they do.
So if you show negligence, and there's that, there's for example, there's theft, and let's say insurance or the inspector goes in and they recognize that you show negligence, right? Like don't care about sealing, don't put emphasis on it. So that could very well affect how insurance will
even
deal
just
with
not
you.
reporting it too.
Right.
Because they'll say, oh, you've had this incident happened and you did not document it with CTPAT. Why? That could be an issue too, potentially.
Okay.
Because reporting is a very big part of it.
Yeah. So do your CTPAT inspections. Document, cover your T's, your dots, your I's, your L's, everything.
Yes, and one common question, regardless of scenario, should I be sealing this? When in doubt, seal it. If you don't know if it should be sealed, seal it.
Yeah.
Like bottom line, it's always better to have a seal than not have a seal. Just don't question it, seal it.
Yeah. Right. Good advice. So let's go lighter.
Okay.
What motivates you to come to work every day?
Regardless of how good or how bad you're doing as a company or an individual, we can always improve. So every day, the goal of doing a little bit better than the last, leaving a little bit better than when you got there, and continuously improving. There's always improvements that can be made.
Okay.
If there isn't, you're kidding yourself.
Okay. All right.
And I guess also semi-limitless supply of coffee kind of motivates me too.
How many? Yeah, you're already on your second cup here. How many cups a day do you drink?
That's classified.
Can you share a highlight from your time in the industry?
Actually, you said earlier, it's like I'm the guy who makes coffee in the morning. It was kind of funny. A while ago, we had I think it was a driver appreciation barbecue. I know it was a barbecue though.
Okay.
Adam, someone who doesn't work anymore, he came up to me and said, "Hey, did you make this coffee?" I said, "Yeah, why?" I could tell it grew hair on my chest. And then later on, to bug him, "Oh, here, I made an Adam brew for you. It's a lukewarm bottle of Dasani." And just
Wash it down?
yeah, just sometimes just being lighthearted, being able to have fun at work is definitely always a highlight of the day.
Yeah.
And it may not directly increase productivity, but indirectly it 100% does.
Okay. All right. That's cool. Hobbies. Let's talk hobbies. You have hobbies?
Yeah, music is definitely one of them.
Okay.
Post-COVID, local music scene is not the same.
Okay.
So it's a bit harder, but yeah, hobby, not a business, so that's fine. Definitely.
What kind of instruments do you play?
On stage, bass.
Oh.
I mean, I know a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but
Okay. What is your favorite genre or favorite songs to play?
favorite songs to play, originals. I
Original?
think there's nothing wrong with covers, but favorite to play is my own music.
Okay.
Definitely. For genres, like a genre that doesn't bother me as much, but I don't like playing music that's boring. I like a challenge. So difficult music to play is a type of music that I prefer playing.
Okay. Which one do you prefer to play?
I usually lean towards heavier, but
Like rock, heavy metal type?
I've played metal,
Okay.
straight up metal. I've played rock. I've played what I can only call alternative.
Okay, right on, right on. So what do you do to unwind and relax? Besides coffee?
Oh. Breaking my back working on cars.
Why would you do that? That doesn't sound fun.
No, it doesn't, but I really enjoy cars.
Okay.
And the satisfaction of having done it yourself. Like my car, my toy, not my daily driver, was all completely painted by me. It took probably a week, and when I was done painting it, because blue car, I looked like a Smurf. I had to shower like 4 times, got the paint out of my hair, needed a chiropractor, but it was worth it.
Yeah. What kind of car is it?
79 Pinto.
Pinto. Okay. All right. Once in a while, I think came to work with it, like
Occasionally. I took it to Kenny Lang Auto Body at one point.
okay.
And not for auto body work, it was glass related, but so I drove it here and then take it down the street at lunchtime.
Nice.
Or pick it up at lunchtime.
Cool.
So yeah, once or twice I brought it here, but that's it.
Right on. So what's something that people might not have guessed about you?
I'm probably the only person on the planet who thinks of drafting as a fun hobby. And okay, that sounds kind of weird, but I'm really into like 3D printing.
Okay.
And first, originally when I started, actually was kind of Pinto related. I needed parts for pop-out side windows that just weren't available. Like, were not available, could not get it.
Okay.
I can have it designed, I can pay someone else to do it, or for less money, I can just buy a printer, learn how to do it, and do it myself. And that's what I did. And sure, sometimes if you need something, it can be a very good tool that maybe someone has designed this before and you can just print it and that's it. That's fine. Maybe you just want to make knickknacks. That's fine. But what I prefer is, this is my problem. This is how I will solve it myself. And I need to create, not just replicate.
Okay.
So that's how I view it. So I kind of self-taught.
Okay, so
CAD.
you designed some parts or items that you wanted to print?
Yeah.
Okay. I bet that's a lot of work.
And when you're learning, it's a lot more work, definitely. Like designing something that, someone else could do in 20 minutes, and you're still trying to learn, it takes you an hour, but that's fine. Okay. It's not about speed. It's not about trying to pump it out to make money. It's about just doing it to do it.
Okay. All right. Well, that was fun. Thank you for being on. Boom.
Boom.
Thank you very much for watching. Watching.
Thank you for washing too.
Yeah, thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time. Adios.